Right, am I getting a good focus? Tracking cancel, yes, I think we've done that. Well, today I'm going to have a go at this beautiful autumn scene that I've come across. And of course, in the UK this year, we're having amazing autumnal colours. I think because the autumn is, the cold has come on slowly, but look at these amazing colours. I've done it earlier actually, or a couple of days ago, on a small format, just to see if I could pull it off, and I think I can improve on it. So I'm going to move on to this larger format now, and I've sketched it out. So I've got to try and keep these colours, these lovely colours, which are the main feature of it, of course. So let's get on with some of those colours. It's going to be a broad sweep of colours, of very vibrant colours, but in certain areas I've got a little background of green, so I'm getting it straight in there with green at these levels, this lower level, and and try and preserve all the bright colours for sort of up here. So I'm just going to try and get a general fairly weak green there, not too strong. I'm afraid you're getting a little bit of reflection off the side of that matting, but I think the picture should be not reflecting too badly for you. Right, let's go with that. And then in the foreground we have a lovely brown russet colour, so I'm going to have a little bit of burnt sienna, I think. Burnt sienna will do this. Yes, I'm going to make a good mixture up with that and see. It's quite a big area actually, so let's get it in, see what we can do. Yes, trying to preserve the whites of these big trees up here. They're silver birches, so I've got to try and keep some of those whites for me, really. But all in here it's got to be a nice earthy colour. Sort of golden. We'll vary that as we go, but for my first wash I think I'm going to just put these colours in, muted as they are. Right, I think we should just live with that for the moment. I'm trying to again preserve the whites of the of these big trees that come up here, greys and whites anyway, but I can step up. In here we have some yellow, some sort of ochre. I think I should really go with that. This is a band of yellow, some sunlight coming through there. Right, there's a little bit of light there. I think I could probably glaze that over brighter later. Now let's have a little think about this. Good idea to plan your process ahead of things, really, if you can. Yes, I've got the green, these colours in between here. Yes, it'll come clear as we go. Now I think we've got to work light to dark. Of course, we are in watercolour. It's the conventional wisdom. People do break it from time to time, but I think I'm going to stay with it today. So I've got a mixture of different yellows, cadmium yellow, lemon yellow. I've got some ochre as well. There's lots of different yellows. So go with that. And between these trees as well, let's mix it up a little bit. I've got some reds on this right. This is going to be quite a lot of red here, but just in between I've got some yellows. So I think I'm going to drop a bit of orange right away into some of these. Right. Right. Okay, and then we've got some odd bits of yellow that are showing, and down here, when we put the branches in, it'll start suddenly to make a bit of sense, I think. But let's make sure we've got some really good yellows in places. Right. Now let's get straight in with actually, before I get into that red again, I think I'm really have to, well, this is a little bit of damp. I can up that yellow a little bit. It's coming there. This little bit of a band of light going into there. I will darken this foreground up later, I think. But I need more yellow here, stronger yellow. Because it's going to dry a lot lighter. Always does with watercolour. So leave that. Now let's get straight in and do some, get some reds. I've got a number of reds here. I've got crimson alizarin and cadmium reds. I've got the oranges as well, which I'm going to try and splash around as we go. I've got to try and keep my colours clean as well. My reds certainly are coming out in this section over here. And across this big tree on our right, I've got to make it readable. Parts of it obscuring there. And let's go for some cadmium red there. Slightly different. I think I'm going to put some orange with it though. I need to change up the colours as they come across here. Get some darks there. They come a little bit behind this tree as well. Right, let's knock that on for a minute and then go into some oranges. We need some orange colours, I think, to knock down that too much yellow there. Right. I think some of these greens need to be darker too. Let's get some sap going. Some sap greens, and yeah, that needs to be a lot darker. I can see now. There's quite a bank here. There's bright down here, and back in the wood there it's quite a lot darker, so I need to be aware of that. So got some Viridian, Hooker's green, so I'm going to mix different colours. It's quite a hard margin though where it meets this glade, so I'm trying to keep that visible there. See, it looks a right muddle at the moment. And you're thinking, oh, am I being a little too free with it? But often with watercolour, if you just be brave, you can sometimes get a better result. Let me get some more vivid Hooker here. I'm looking at my reference, so I can see it's so much darker in these areas. So I'm putting some ultramarine now with some of those greens, so that will give me a bit more of a muted, darker colour. Alright, and got that odd bit of green will show. Let's knock out some of those whites there. But I think we do it when we get into a smaller brush. I think that will help. But mix some of that blue, even with those reds. Give me some darker boundary behind some of these trees. But as I said, there was quite a line. I've got to try and go with a smaller brush down the road a little bit. I think we'll be able to see that. Right, okay, so now I think we should we dry it up a little bit? Yes, let's get a little bit of a hairdryer on it for a quick blast, so that will allow me to put some dry brush marks. So well, I've moved on a little bit since I was drying, because I think the video will be too long, but I've just trying to map in some of these main trees here. I tried to preserve some whites I have in little elements of them, but I will probably need to introduce some gouache. I mean, a lot of watercolour is you have to think on your feet, as it were, and be prepared to deal with a challenge, something that doesn't go quite according to plan. But that's a bit of the fun of it, really. You've got to keep experimenting and being a little bit free with it, but mainly adjusting to the changing situation, because it does change. As I said, water has its mind of its own, so try and go with some of those changes that you've sprung upon you. I'm still trying to get some of my main shapes in. I can just about see my sketched rough layout that I did. So I can come back and make these much more tighter as I go. But as I say, just for the moment, this is what I want to do to get some sort of sense of the shape and the layout, and make it a little more readable for you people watching. Yes, there are a huge number of trees here. This is just a glade, really, that we're seeing here. I've got a big tree here, which we see on the right of my reference photograph. But as I said, my reference is just that, a reference. I'll change it if I have to, or it suits me to change it and put my individual take on it. Lots of trees here. And I've got this, you notice some of the red is coming in front. Some of the foliage is coming in the front of those main beams, that main trunk of that tree. That often helps to push it back as well. Obviously, being lighter in tone often does that, but also its relationship to other forms will do that as well. I'm just thinking now, I've got to look at the tonal values. It's darker in the front here. As I said, I think I'm going to be back with some gouache on some of these, because these were lovely birches and they had lovely white marks and little bands on them, but they've got their blemishes as well. So I'm going to get a little bit of umber here actually to try and put a little bit of texture and colour in these lower parts anyway. Now I'll probably come back with a smaller brush and do some of the other trees in the background there, but of course we can do a fair bit of editing in your selection of what you put in. You seem need to do that actually. There's too much. Becomes a little confused and difficult to read. Now, start to see it, I think, starting to come together. Quite dark up there. So I think this tree on the right was actually a lot darker than I've got it at the moment. So I'm going to just get some umber in and step that up a little bit. Probably umber and a little bit of Payne's grey there. I think this will help with that. Yes, I think that's reading a little more as it was. And darker as it's up against the bright of the sky, or what's penetrating this glade, of course. Little hints at showing, but we've got to get on, of course, and do step up some of the foliage. Make that with a smaller brush, I think. But while I've got this biggish brush, I'm going to put some green to show the mosses that we've got. All these growing up side of these trees. Right, do that. Different colours there, try and set some, show the line of the tree by putting a different contrast against its edge will help it read. But I think I've got now to get into I think this needs to be a much sort of reddy browner, so I'm going to get some red, some a little bit of light brown, a little reddish brown, a little bit of orange, I think too, a little cadmium orange. Yes, I think that is a little more what we're looking for. I'm standing way back now to help. Sorry about the glare on that. My studio lights are overhead downlighters. Get a bit of reflection. Well, it's wet anyway. Yes, that's a bit of almost dry brush there. Give a little bit of broken edge there. I think I ought to get a little bit smaller brush so we can get some little dabs. Look at this little one here, little flat, fairly stiffish one. So I'm going to see if I can stipple in some of these. Yes, I think that's what we need to do. I can see that will give me some opportunity to put some leaf form to help a little bit. So I've got a mixture here of reds, but it's a fairly stiff mixture. So I want to stipple here. Try and vary the shape as well. It mustn't be too uniform, so I dab it down a little bit here and there and try and make it go over some of these big boughs as well. Use this pointed bit, that gives that a sharper, lower, smaller footprint, but if I lay it on the side there, you can see it will catch that a little better. Spread it there. Get rid of some of these whites that I've got showing there. So let's say these are very stiff mixtures now. Reds, oranges. Yes, let's get some cadmium red, I think. And this, some rose. Yeah, it's starting to read a bit, I think. Trying to give a kind of the shape of the tree as well, of this tree that's behind here. Let's give some masses rather than lots of little dots. I've got to strike a happy medium. So they come out here. I think we've got to get some oranges over here doing the same thing, I think. But I'm looking back at my camera to see, try and catch what you're seeing. So I'm seeing it a little differently, of course, slightly different angle, but just closer, of course, that's the essential thing. Let's get back in those reds now. We need a good smear of them. Yes, that's starting. starting to put it in front of that bough there. Bring that out a little bit there. Again, I can stipple it. I want a mixture of bigger masses and then individual leaf shapes if you can. Different tonal values. It's all it's not an exact science. You stand back and look and see what you're making of it. Got a little bit over here too. This branch coming down. So let's smear it a bit. Let's get some oranges as well, a little bit of yellow. Gotta try and not make it muddy though. It's the cardinal sin. It's a very difficult judgment. Right. Now let me think for the moment. Let's get back into some, while I'm thinking about that, let's get over here and do some really good stiff yellow mixtures. So again, I'm going to try and mix up stiff mixture. Yes, these were a lot of different yellows here. I said I've got 3 different yellows: lemon yellow, cadmium yellow, or gamboge have I got? I'm not sure. I've got yellow ochre, of course, which is not so vivid, but has its place. Use that a lot in my art, really. It's a go-to colour. Right, standing back again. I can see now I need to put some more orangey colours down here. Try and cover some of these little whites here that are poking through. That could be our space to put these lovely yellows that I've got here. Try and always keeping my brush clean. Not contaminated. So keep wiping it. Yes, let's get much more here. Looking back again, I don't know whether it's reading as I should. I like it. There we go. Let's get some. I've got so many different colours going here. Try and keep it fresh, not overdo it. But I can see I need some more yellows that are poking their heads out here. Yep, we've got to do that. Of course, that will give us some oranges as well. If we mix these reds and yellows, you get nice oranges. I've got cadmium orange on my palette, but I like to have individual colours that I mix, give you that unique mixture which is unique to your palette. We have some oranges here. We have a little bit of more water, I think. Show us here a little bit more. And I'll put some more branches in as well, and improve the structure of the bark there. I think I've got to do quite a bit on that. We can put some more yellows and oranges down here. They're coming from the canopy over into this woodland glade here. As I said, we've had a wonderful autumn this year. The colours have been just magnificent. Right. Now let me think. A bit more yellow down here maybe. It's too much white shine. Let's lay something over this tree as well. It's all looking too prominent, although it is the star of our show. We've got to recognize that. But now let us step back again and see. I think I need, while we're here, we need to put some greens here. Yes, that's what we can do. I've got as I said, a mixture of greens. I can mix them with some of my yellows and my reds. I can sort of vary the tone infinitely. This is the wonder of painting greens. It's a difficult thing to deal with. No doubt about that. But it's what makes, painting in the country so nice. You've got that challenge. They're there in every shade imaginable. A little bit there. I think we can just run a few greens in some of these areas where we see a little bit of white. There's no reason why we can't just put a bit more green in. Try and make it read. I'm standing back now a couple of feet, and I can see I've got to deal with our foreground. Of course, that's not right at all. It's too light, but we need to put some textural marks in, which we can do like this. I want a dark margin on there, so I'm going to step up that, put a bit of blue in there, because I want contrast with this lighter area. I've not got it right at the moment. So again, always reviewing it. I'll see what I've got to do to make it read or emphasize parts of the picture that I want the viewer to look at. But I think I've still got to deal in a fairly big way with this foreground. So I'm going to get some light brown and rusty colour and put a bit of red with it as well. Oh, that's a little too red. Dark it down a bit. I think that's too red. Let's add some yellows to that. That's better. A little bit of, yes, that's much more what I'm looking at, and that goes all the way up. So this is all leaf litter here, so I've got to try perhaps and get some textural features in there. And of course I've still got to try and improve all these trees, which we can do. And do that, as I say, with some gouache if we need. But let's see what we can do at the moment. I've got to put in a lot more branches, I think, to show this canopy. Although, as I said, I'm looking at my reference, my photograph. I'm not duty bound to do it. I'll only do it. I mean, it's a good photograph, and it was taken. That's why I'm painting it, because it is good. But I've got to remember, it's my painting. It's my take on what I saw from the photograph. So let's try and step up some of the shapes of the trees, of the bark. As I said, I think I will come back with some gouache, but I need to make it look substantial. It's a big old tree, that's for sure. Let's get some more browns, and here, these trees, we need to show them better. You see them coming up. I say it's a big glade here with all these trees in the background, so I mustn't bring them too far forward. I don't want them too prominent, because they are there in the distance, or set back somewhat in the middle distance, I suppose I should say. Again, looking back, this tree here, we could darken, put some more tone there in its lower part here. And we've got to emphasize some of these dark areas in at the root area. They've got their little bits where the roots disappear, little dark areas where all the wildlife can hide away. Again, I think this tree over here, we can make this a lot darker there. It's quite a lot darker actually, this tree. That's a thick paint I've got now. I'll try and mark that. Got a little bit of dry brush there, so it does suggest a bit of texture. Got some more trees out. Yeah, let's just wet that up a bit. One here. Sort of vague, slightly disappearing into the canopy there, which I want to do. Now let's go back. We've got to put some dark marks on these trees, of course. There was little blemishes and notches where the branches hit them, and darker there, look. You see that? Little marks on it. And try and make some suggestions of its form by being circular. Can do that with a smaller brush as well, perhaps. But I think, yes, we've got, there are some quite marks there. Trying to suggest some circular shapes there. Right. Yes, it's coming together a little bit. As I said, I've got to get some of the smaller branches in. Oh, and also it's important to ground your trees as well. You don't want them floating in the air. So I'll just, these, you see, I can't see where they're really hitting the ground there. So we need to do that. Some of them, obviously in the distance you won't see so much, but then I said I'll just need to make this darker out here. Keep that line there so it shows the light and the dark of our scene there. By making this darker, this automatically will feel a bit lighter. And I noticed too, have I made this, I think I should make this a bit more substantial, this tree. I think he's gone a bit thin. He's got a bit lost in my layout. There you go. So we've got to adapt and make those changes. Right, okay. Now, should I get let's get a smaller brush. Although I need to get this. Let's get some more texture in here. There's a lot of leaf litter here, actually. So how do we do that? Perhaps we just dibble it in. Some yellows. That's what we could do. It doesn't show like that on my reference, but I think it's going to work much better now if I do it for my painting. Make it unique. All right, let's more here. Try to get every area with some interest. Right. Now do I come back with some gouache? I might do that. I'm still undecided. Let's get some more oranges in here. As I say, I'm trying to suggest this little leaf mold, so perhaps to try and randomly dab in some different colours, oranges and well, I've sort of most of the way along. I don't know how much longer my battery will last, but if you like this, if you're enjoying it, please let me know and give me a thumbs up as well. That's always gives me great encouragement to see that people like it, and as they consider subscribing as well. That always helps the channel grow and gives me some feedback as well. So if any of you have any thoughts on painting, whether you paint or not, doesn't matter. I'm just interested to hear what you might say. Right, I think now let's leave it for the moment and get on. Let's get my gouache going. Where is it? I see, here we have it. Let's splash a bit in there because we can then show some of the shape of the of these birches, and it will contrast with my greys and whites that I've got up there, or greys and blues and blacks in the bark. So I'm just looking now. I've got this same brush that I've been using. I think let's bite the bullet and put some bits in. Yes, I think so. And this one as well. It's coming round. Try and show that. As I say, they were lovely birches. Catching some of the light there. And this one, by contrast, is dark. Of course, there's very little light. It's just a little bit coming this side, perhaps. Can give it a little bit of dry brush there, a little bit of sparkle might be catching. I think we need to round that. Help show the form, I think, of the tree. Yeah, it's starting to come together. A little bit of dry brush there to suggest it is. I think I'll dry off the brush a little bit there and blend a little bit here, I think. It's looking a little bit too white for me there. I kind of put a little bit of bluey grey into it. Yes, I think that's helping a little bit. I've even got, still see there's a little bit of grey up there, catching some of the light. Right. And I can see a little bit of light on some of these. I think we could suggest that these are the same group out here. Just a little bit of dry brush on them to perhaps suggest it. Right. And I can see this one out here, just a little bit of light there on this face. I think the light must be coming from the right, so we can afford to give them a little hint. Ooh, that's too much. It's gone very grey now. Let's have a little bit there. Yes, not so bad there. I think we'll put a bit of green in contrast though. Help it stand out there behind. Yeah, we can do that. Give some different interest. Now, should I put a little bit more red stippling? I think I might do that a little bit here. Although, what I haven't done, I think before I do that, I should put a few small branches in with a very tiny liner brush, I think. Yes, I'm going to use this little rigger here, this liner. Well, it's not a liner, it's a rigger, I think. But I think we need to put a few. Yes, I think we missed it. There needs some there to come across here. Let's suggest it will help push these things back as well. Yes, there's a couple here. see these. Yes, and yeah, I think there's a few needed. Branches hanging down where they meet our tree here. Few wiggly marks on our ground here as well. Just flick them up a little bit to show. How have I done? Oh, I know there was a couple here. I think I've shown enough, really. Got to be careful not to do too much. Always going on about that, because it's certainly the case for me. Less is more, invariably. There it is, I think. A bit of texture here suggests this forest in the background there. Now the question though, should I put a little bit more red in some of these? I think we will. Let's do it. Well, there is my completed painting of this autumnal scene, and I'm reasonably pleased. It was a repeat of one I've done earlier in the week on a smaller format, but I've tried to keep some of the key features that I wanted to that drew me to the painting, and that was, of course, that bit of light there in this glade and the bark on these silver birches. So I put a little bit of gouache on some of them so that we get a little bit of a grey feel to them. And of course you've got to try and keep those colours. I'll put in a few finer branches that you can see here and there with my rigger. But I've also wanted to try and get some distance, some depth. So you can see the glade further, a little bit darker and paler, darker on the margin of the fence at the back, and the hedge where you get the wood there. Be interesting to compare it actually with my little version that I did a few days ago. I was sort of see if I could reproduce it in this bigger format. Yes. Okay, anyway, if you're interested in seeing some more of this, just give me a thumbs up and hit the bell so you'll be notified of when I do some more work, and subscribe. Well, thanks for watching.